I hope you will be ready to bear one of those beautiful songs which a friend of mine by the name of Garth Hewitt keeps singing when he comes to Palestine. Happy to share, happy to bear one another's burden. That's why we're here. Also, I want to bring greetings of salam from your people in the land you call holy, the people in Jerusalem, the people in Galilee, the people in the Triangle area, the majority of whom are Muslims, but also from your Christian sisters and brothers who are ethnically speaking Arab and nationally speaking Palestinian. Having lived in India, and I could tell that some of you came from the subcontinent, I discovered while there that very few people were knowledgeable of the fact that among the Arab nations there are Christians. I'm an Arab, I'm a Palestinian, and I'm a Christian. I have not been converted lately. I trace my Christian background to the year 33 AD. And this is well documented in the New Testament. But as an Arab, I share the fears, the anxieties, and the hopes of the Arab nation. As a Palestinian, I am one out of the 6, 7, now 8 million Palestinians, perhaps 8 now.
About 10. Inside about
Well, Talal says 10. If all of us were people of Gaza, we would become 20 in next year. Well, one of the things that we continue to tease the Israelis, we tell them, even if you beat us on the borders, we beat you in our bedrooms. So I'm a Palestinian and I'm a Christian. But where I live, where I was born in Nazareth, which is exclusively Arab, with a minority of Christians. There is fear that the Arab Palestinian Christian community may cease to be in that land. And I want to tell you, this is on the heart not only of us Christians, but on the heart of many Muslim leaders in the Arab world. They fear that as a result of the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, which is perceived in the West as a religious conflict between Muslims or Islam and the West, which is not the case. There is a religious dimension to the conflict. And the fact that they continue to speak of the persecution of Christians by Muslims, which is not true at all, but because of the fact that the Arab Christians had this identity crisis. They were not sure also, as a result of history, the history of experience, being thought to be Italianos, or Greek, or Anglicans. That's how they named the churches in Palestine. This is the Anglican church, to which I belong, and Anglican means Church of England, so you must have come from England. And many Anglicans thought we would go back to England. The Roman Catholics would go back to France or to Italy. The Seven Baptists, they insist on calling themselves Seven Baptist Convention in Nazareth. And I keep questioning them, south of what? The Seven Baptists are a group of Christians in the 7 states of the United States of America. But as a result of this, there was an identity crisis and the number of Christians left. And we have dwindled from 20-23% 60 years ago to 1.5% today. The late Arafat, one of our heroes, used to say, if the Christian Palestinians continue to immigrate, Palestine will become a museum of holy stones. And there will be fear that the rest will be cleaned. Ethnic cleansing could be part of an agenda, especially if you were to examine what was discussed in Annapolis. The Israeli delegation, their emphasis was on one thing, that Israel be the state of the Jewish people, not the state of all its citizens. The minority in Israel makes up 20%. And for anybody to continue to claim that Israel is the state of the Jewish people denies the right of citizenship to the minority, which has changed in a beautiful way. Thousands, tens of thousands of highly educated people, and whose role in the Arab-Israeli conflict had to do with being firm in establishing themselves on what was left of the land on which they continue to live. Our struggle is different from the struggle of Palestinians in the occupied territories. Our struggle is completely different from the struggle of the Palestinians in the refugee camps in Lebanon, in Syria, in Jordan, in Egypt. Our struggle is completely different from the struggle of Palestinians in different parts of the world. Our struggle to continue to be there, because we believe that we, being Arab Palestinians, at the same time we have become citizens of the state of Israel, be we Christians or Muslims, we can be the bridge. As Arabs, we can speak to the Arab nation better than any Jew. As Palestinians, we can speak to the Palestinians better than any Israeli. And sometimes as Israeli citizens, we can speak to the Jew and to the Israeli better than any Arab or any Palestinian, because we know how to deal with them, having lived among them for the last, 60 years now. I don't want to go into further detail of this background, but I want you to know that the Arab-Palestinian Christian community is part and parcel of the Arab-Palestinian people, and we are part and parcel of the Arab nation, of the Al-Ummah. We share the land, we share the skies, we share the pain, we share the hopes. Before I proceed, I know those of us who are asked to speak often give answers to questions that are not asked. So we will allow time for questions towards the end of this little introduction. We meet today almost 91 years since the Balfour Declaration, 1917. And the question continued to be addressed to Mr. Balfour in his grave. Who gives whose land? Who gave you the right to say that a certain group of people will have a right to establish themselves on the remains of others? The slogan that was in those days, that Palestine was without a land, that the land of Palestine was without people, why not give it to a people without a land? They forget that we've been there long before they were. The Palestinians, the Canaanites, the Midianites, we go back in history thousands of years, long before Christianity and long before Islam. Ethnically speaking, we are Arab.